Well, folks, big news coming out of Inter Miami yesterday. If you haven't heard, Coach Javier Mascherano out, no more with our Inter Miami errands. But welcome on into Pink Smoke, where we talk everything Inter Miami and everything Lionel Messi. Obviously, the big story, Mascherano, resigning. I personally think, and listen, this is me speculating. I think that both the club and Mascherano both came to an understanding that there needed to be a parting of ways. I think Mascherano was told before the season started that you need to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. You need to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup at the new stadium. Inter Miami, obviously, folks, has opened up New Bank Stadium down in Miami. It's a fantastic fortress. I know Inter Miami has drawn the two games that they've played there. I also think those two games had a little bit to do with the Mascherano resignation. But I think they told Javier, hey, we want CONCACAF Champions Cup. We want that tournament. And Damian Perez, my producer and co-host, as always, here on Pink Smoke, partner. Hope you've been great. Welcome on into the program. But I think it's as simple as that. Mascherano did not win CONCACAF Champions Cup. And the first two games at New Stadium, those are teams in New York and Austin. Yeah, you probably should have won 2-0, 3-1. So I think with the crash out at CONCACAF and then the two kind of letdowns at New Stadium, I think enough was enough for the Inter Miami brass.
Yeah, how's it going, Mike? Good afternoon. I think the actions show that, and it's something that I feel like that Conca Champions defeat kind of sucked the life out of that locker room, and something needed to be done. It sucks that it has to be Mascherano, but I agree with you. The priority coming into the season was CONCACAF champions. And not only the defeat was very, very bad, a huge letdown, but everything we've seen as a response from Inter Miami has not been the response that we've been looking for. So something has to change, and unfortunately, it was Mascherano.
I think tactically, too, they were exposed a little bit. Now, the 4-2-3-1, some would argue that that's, classic Barcelona, that formation that Mascherano was running. You saw Mascherano go 4-4-2 in the final game against the Red Bull. I don't want to say that was a bit of a panic, Damian, but I think that he knew he needed to switch something up to maybe get a result. But the 4-2-3-1, partner, you don't have Prime Puyol playing center back. You know what I mean?
And you don't have Sergio Busquets, which we had last season.
Or even Jordi Alba going forward. Like, look at the fullbacks that have been going forward for Inter Miami this year, right? Jordi Alba was the best to ever do it. And Taylor Twellman, who's friend of program over at Apple TV, there was a ball in one of the Inter Miami games, and I heard him on a podcast. He goes, guys, Lionel Messi was playing that ball to the ghost of Jordi Alba because he is the only one who is going to be able to ever get to that ball on that left side. Reguilon, fine player. Ian Frey, I think a fine MLS player, but none of them the quality that is Jordi Alba. And Mascherano, they had those guys on the byline. Damien, they were in the box. And if Inter Miami turned it over, it was an instant opportunity for opponents. I did not like it. I thought Inter Miami was tactically at a disadvantage every single game with the fullbacks playing that high. Last year, you saw three play at the back. You saw the right side foot. You saw the right fullback stay back with the two center backs, and Jordi Alba would go up. And it seemed to me, or play up and play that attacking wingback. It seemed to me that Mascherano, with the lack of a Jordi Alba-esque kind of fullback, he was sending both of them. He thought he needed multiple attacking options up there with no Jordi Alba and no Sergio Busquets, deep lying playmaker. The 5 or 6 that Inter Miami would alternate him at. I really do think it was the CONCACAF Champions Cup that did him in. Do not get it twisted. But I think tactically, they were clearly not in the right formation, in my opinion. And Berterame, they spent $15 million on that brother. And Damian, he looked like your average Joe striker in the MLS. I think a little bit of that had to do with it. Berterame doesn't fit that system, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah,
I don't think Berterame fit Mascherano's system at all.
And I know Berterame got his first goal against New York Red Bulls, but it got to a point where they had to bench him. He didn't start in that game. So someone who's brought in to be that dependable goal scorer paid the $15 million fee, which is unreal in the MLS.
Yep.
Has not been doing the job that has not met the expectations that we had for him. But I know that I mentioned this earlier. Sergio Busquets being out is huge for Inter Miami. He was that safety blanket last year that when the left back and right back did project themselves, you knew you had Sergio Busquets back there to hold it down. We have not found the replacement for that role, and not only have we not found that replacement, but Rodrigo De Paul has not had the start to the season we've been looking for either.
Partner, did you see that turnover from the free kick last game?
It's been every
Dude,
game. He's had a bad turnover every game.
I don't know if that was just a brain fart, but partner, that turned into an immediate opportunity, and thankfully Mikael picked the pocket of the young, I think it was Julian Hall and or Ravo Kaba.
Who drove Inter Miami crazy, by the way.
Julian Hall's a great player. Listen,
unreal.
As a United States men's national team fan, I hope that, and honestly, folks, I love the MLS. I think our league is great. I think it's grown tremendously. But I think Julian Hall is one of those players that needs to go play
18
overseas.
18 years old.
He needs to go play overseas.
He was the best player on that field.
And if I'm being honest, the number 9 was great too. The 10 was great. And Mehmeti, that kid's 17.
Also 18. Yeah,
he's
17.
He's not even, he can't even vote.
And the second goal was a connection from Julian Hall
to Mehmeti.
Yep.
Which, by the way, all right, that might have done poor Coach Mascherano in more than anything as well. You cannot, Damian. That was a pass into the box from a free kick. That cannot happen.
They were asleep.
That straight up cannot happen. Now, I did, by the way, Janet in the YouTube chat, we appreciate you, Janet, big loyal listener of all of our Inter Miami English coverage on ESPN West Palm FC. She says, "Good evening, Mike. Didn't expect this termination and or resignation quite yet." Damian, you're already out of CONCACAF Champions Cup. Like that, it's like, why do it now? And that's why I go to the point of tactics. They didn't like the vision that Mascherano had.
There wasn't a reaction.
This group. And I am with Janet, though. I thought it was early. There's a lot of MLS season left to be played. We all know the MLS, there's playoffs. This isn't the Premier League. This isn't Bundesliga. This isn't La Liga. The season doesn't end when the final game is played. You just, in my opinion, in the MLS, Inter Miami, in the Eastern Conference, you be a top seed that gets home field in the first round. That technically right. The second round. You know what I mean?
It's worth noting that Inter Miami is also third seeded in the Eastern Conference. So you can still argue they're in a comfortable position. I think that only shows what you were saying at the top of the hour, that Mascherano was let go because of that CONCACAF Champions defeat.
Yep. And I think Berterame, the lack of tactics involving the Damian, $15 million. At the time when he got signed, it was the highest signing in MLS history. So they clearly had big plans for him. And keep in mind, too, Berterame didn't start for 3 games after the CONCACAF Champions Cup crash out. He was benched for that NYCFC game. He was benched for the Austin game. Right? He didn't play in the games post CONCACAF Champions Cup. I don't know how much of that was, Mascherano and thinking he doesn't fit in his tactics. But listen, these are all pure rumor. But the rumor was, Damian, that Mascherano didn't necessarily rape Berterame. That's a rumor floating around out there, is that he didn't necessarily want him on the 11 for Inter Miami this year on a weekend basis. So
that's very interesting.
And maybe that's a little bit to do with it. We're going to be talking to Sasha Kleshin coming up. Sasha Kleshin, Apple TV, MLS analyst. He'll, help us break this down too. But I think I could simplify it as easy as CONCACAF Champions Cup, and then already a bad taste in your mouth after you crash out of that in the round of 16 to Nashville, who you historically own. Damian, you historically go belt to bottom on Nashville. That's a tradition like none other, like the tournament in Augusta. A tradition like none other. Inter Miami beat Nashville. That's a tradition, and you crash out against them. Now, they did do you see their big result, Nashville's result in Mexico?
Last night, first MLS team to win in the Aztec Stadium.
Unbelievable. They might be legit this year, but that's neither here nor there. I think that Inter Miami team is better, and call me a bitter Inter Miami fan, but this is where we're at. If you're just joining us, folks, hashtag Mascherano out. Javier Mascherano has been, granted, he resigned.
Right.
But I love saying it so much. I got to say it. Mascherano has been sacked.
And it's interesting too, because the same reason why Mascherano is reportedly out at Inter Miami, which was a personal decision, resignation due to personal reasons, is the same reason they gave us for Tata Martinez. So whether it was a mutual decision, whether it was a personal decision, or maybe it was the club even pushing him out, I don't think we'll ever get that answer.
Do you want to know an eerie stat? Him and they both coached the same amount of games. It's like
unreal.
38 on the dot, and they were basically the same
Coming
situation.
off a trophy too, because Tata Martino won the Supporter Shield.
Correct. And I don't want to look into it too much. Like I said, Damien and I both understanding that we think it was CONCACAF Champions Cup. But obviously we'll continue to touch on this throughout the show. Now, I did want to play the goal scoring highlights from that New York Red Bull game. We'll play the Inter Miami ones. Obviously, folks, Damien and I have been mentioning how great Julian Hall was in the game for the Red Bull. Hall had 2 assists on the night. The first assist was to Rabokaba. They made things 1-0. By the way, how about Inter Miami going down 1-0 in both starts at New Stadium? In both games at New Stadium, they go down 1-0.
That was Ruvalcava's first game with the Red Bulls.
Yeah, and then obviously Mehmeti scored the second goal. Inter Miami was up 2-1. We thought that they were going to control that game after that point, but let's first off hear the first goal for our Inter Miami Herons as they tied things up 1-1. Once again, folks, Mike Rizzo, myself on the call, voice of the Inter Miami Herons.
The last opportunity our Herons are going to have. Only 1 minute of extra time. Guasanova, shot, goal! Goal! What a strike! Matteo Silvetti on the back stick. A beautiful pass. What an opportunity for Inter Miami right before the half. Matteo Silvetti ties it up.
At the death, man. It
was an unreal goal.
It was 1 minute of extra time. I know we were just giving our guy Rodrigo DePaul a tough time, but DePaul was the one with the service into the back stick. And you heard it in my voice, man. I was very surprised that Silvetti got to that one and was able to go. I mean, a tighty finish too, Damien. He went right side, a low-driven grounder. It was a good shot by Silvetti, brilliant service by Rodrigo DePaul, 1-1. And as things stood, 1-1 in the halftime, eerily similar to that first game at New Stadium against Austin. Austin and Inter Miami, they were 1-1 in the halftime. I kept on telling, my OG on-site producer, Oscar Gonzalez, I told the OG numerous times, I'm like, dude, I think Inter Miami is going to pull away in this half. And I really did. They had all the momentum going into the break, and they certainly had the momentum, Damien, in the second half when Herman Berterame finally scored his first goal as an Inter Miami Heron.
Back on it again as they are. Can this one bear fruit? Here's Messi. Left foot. Shot. Berterame. Oh! The first goal for Herman Berterame has finally arrived.
And I'll tell you what, he celebrated it like, the weight of the world got let off of his shoulders. And Damien, he had a lot of pressure on him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with being on a 00, as we call it, such a troll. The 00 thing is such a troll in world football. For those of you that don't know what it is, no goals or assists.
Did he hit 007?
He did. Okay. Sadly, he did. He was well past 007, Damien. I'm going to give Herman the credit for not saying what 00 it was, but it was a significant 00, meaning no goals or assists in the games that he played. And he went to the corner flag. He celebrated with the fans. When we scored that goal, I remember looking at Oscar, and I basically ball game. I lipped ball game to him. Obviously, that wasn't the case. The Red Bull scored a goal. It made things 2-2. Inter Miami had opportunities again. And Damien, it's like the 80th minute again. Like the final 10 minutes of the game, all hell is broken loose the 2 times at New Stadium. And like I know we've been smashing into the microphones. Oh, Mascherano's gone because of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Believe it or not, I think there's a world if Inter Miami were to win those 2 games at New Stadium that he still would have been the gaffer.
Yeah, I agree. If Inter Miami would have shown a bit of reaction from that CONCACAF Champions defeat, I think Mascherano would probably still have his head coaching job position. And that's assuming that the personal issues that they say is the reason why he resigned are not too serious. Hopefully they're not. But I think ultimately it comes down to those two things. CONCACAF Champions elimination and the reaction that Inter Miami has shown, which obviously has not been a good one.
Now, and folks, those of you wondering, Riz, who the hell is going to be the interim coach? It's going to be Guillermo Hoyos. If you remember, folks, for all you Barcelona fans out there who have been following Messi's career since he was at La Masia, he was Messi's youth coach. And Messi has been on record saying that he's been like his grandfather of football. You know, his grandfather, somebody he looks up to. And he was the current sporting director of Inter Miami. So, Damian, the sporting director, stepping down onto the pitch in the interim and taking things over. But Guillermo Hoyos, excuse me. You know me, us Americans, I want to pronounce the H. But Guillermo Hoyos, the new gaffer, at the time being the interim gaffer for Inter Miami, who is Barcelona's youth coach when Lionel Messi was at La Masia.
Any idea who you think could get that full-time role?
I think, let me give you something better. I think it's going to be post-World Cup. I don't think it's going to be pre-World Cup. I think it's going to be post-World Cup. How many fixtures, granted, there are a couple of fixtures before June. Like, there are multiple MLS fixtures coming up before June. I actually think this is something that might happen post the World Cup. Damian, I mean, it's got to be someone Messi.
How about another former teammate, Xavi?
Does he want to come to the States? That's what it comes down to.
I'm just completely spitballing. There's no report.
But here's the thing, too. Like this, and like I said, again, this isn't me downplaying our league. I love the MLS. But is Xavi like looking for another La Liga job or a Premier League job? Like, I don't know where his headspace is at.
I think Xavi, being a young coach, just needs experience wherever it is in the world. I mean, he was at Barcelona.
That's the reason, right? I mean, like, listen, Barcelona, I think outside of Real Madrid, and as selfishly Manchester United because of what Fergie,
it would be a huge step down.
Like step down. I hate to say step down, like I said, because I love the MLS. But it would be a
step down anywhere in the world, not just MLS. I mean, even if you go somewhere like the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's tough to reach the magnitude of coaching a Barcelona or Real Madrid. So I believe anywhere that he goes next is probably going to be a step downwards.
Folks, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we have Sasha Kleshin from Apple TV, former U.S. men's national team player, former MLS player. We have Sasha Kleshin join the show. Coming up next, Pink Smoke on ESPN 106.3.
For 40 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath has stood up for clients in South Florida communities. If you've been injured, their experienced attorneys across South Florida are ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients. There's no cost for a case evaluation and no fee unless they win. Visit foryourrights.com. That's foryourrights.com. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath. Proud supporters of Inter Miami FC on ESPN South Florida. Main office in Palm Beach Gardens.
Since 2006, EDS Air Conditioning has kept Palm Beach County comfortable through every summer, every storm, and every season in between. EDS Air Conditioning is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. From dial thermostats to today's smart home systems, EDS delivers reliable comfort you can count on. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, they've earned your trust. 20 years of keeping Palm Beach cool. Visit EDSIsYes.com today.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new 2026 Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful 2026 Defender 110 P300S for just $899 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees within the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 29 national championships, including the reigning champs in swimming and diving, lacrosse, and tennis. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest on the championship flagship campus of Kaiser University.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121.
Hey, Sasha, how's it going? You got me?
561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Hello, you got me, Sasha?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Our door
Yep,
again.
I got you loud and clear.
He's scrubbed. He's squeegee.
Be back in 30
Is that
seconds.
a word?
He's tried pretending not to see it.
Didn't work.
Now he wants answers.
I'm calling Culligan. They'll test my water for free and recommend a solution to fix hard water throughout the whole house.
Because some battles shouldn't be fought alone.
Schedule your free water test today at Culligan.com, serving all of South Florida.
Hey, Culligan man! When you see the pink smoke.
This is Pink Smoke.
Messi! What timer to Segovia goal!
Here's Mike Rizzo.
All right, we teased it before the break. Sasha Kleshin, friend of show, joining us again here on Pink Smoke. And I wonder what we're going to talk about, all right? But before we get into the, so-called resignation of Javier Mascherano, our Inter Miami gaffer, Sasha, I'll tell you what, it's been a rough football week for me, all right? Between Manchester United dropping points to Leeds at home, I lean Madrid as well, being a United man. I mean, what the hell is Camavinga doing with the time wasting today? After I bathed in the tears of Barcelona fans, now, I'm sitting here wondering how the hell Madrid crashed out to Bayern after making it such a great game in that first half. And then obviously Inter Miami. What the hell is going on with my hair, Sasha? Two news here. Austin and New York. Listen, I love Michael Bradley. I'm sure your friend, being a former United States men's national team player, sure you guys are great friends. I love Michael Bradley. Appreciate his time with my lads at the USMNT. But listen, partner, what the hell's going on? 2 draws at the brand new stadium, and then now the coach is getting sacked. Sasha, what? First off, let's start there. Thank you for letting me vent. Let's start with Javier Mascherano and the resignation, partner. How surprised were you? Are you like me thinking that this was more mutual than Coach Mascherano going up to the organization and saying, hey, this is my resignation? Do you think there is more kind of to the story than we've read maybe on social media?
There's definitely more to the story. What's really happening behind the scenes, I don't know, but there's got to be something more there. There's some disconnect between Mascherano and either upper management or a disconnect between himself and the players. If you remember Luis Suarez scoring a couple games ago when he gets that game-tying goal against Austin, he makes a gesture towards the bench and says something that looks pretty nasty, and it looks like it's directed at Mascherano. So obviously, he's not been happy that he hasn't been starting. His replacement, Berterame, hasn't been scoring, so he's frustrated. But for a team that just won the championship, for a coach who figured things out really well tactically to the end of last season, for him to walk away after 7 games where it's not been a bad season. I think it's taken some time for the new players to adjust, but it's not been a bad season so far for him to walk away. There's clearly a disconnect there.
And let me ask you this, because I've seen rumors that apparently Coach Mascherano didn't necessarily want to go after Erman Berterame, and they still brought him in. Do you think Berterame's play, being the $15 million man and the big signing and, the rumors, obviously we're speculating here, the rumors that maybe Coach Mascherano didn't even want to bring him in. Do you think that also had something to do with the departure of, I mean, Sasha, Herman didn't start for 2 games post the CONCACAF Champions Cup crash out as well.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if that's true or just speculation. I don't know what happened there, but that certainly happens at big clubs all over the world. There are certain clubs that work with a sporting director signs the players and a coach works with what players he has. Now, I think good modern clubs work hand in hand with their coach and sporting director to choose players that they want to build around, but that's not totally uncommon. So Mascherano gave Berterame chances. I just don't think that Berterame has figured out how to play with Lionel Messi yet. He got on the score sheet last game. He took his finish very well in the box. That should help him gain some confidence. But going forward, whoever takes over has to find a way to get the best out of Berterame, because if you're spending $15 million on a guy that you know can score goals, he's got to find a way to help him start scoring goals.
Now, Sasha, you think this is more Mascherano and the brass not seeing eye to eye instead of crashing out of CONCACAF Champions Cup? Because my personal opinion on the matter, I think they told coach and the gaffer that, hey, we need you to win that cup at the new stadium. We didn't even get to play a game of the CONCACAF Champions Cup at the new stadium.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you draw against two teams that you should clearly be beating. You're more on the side of not seeing eye to eye, or the CONCACAF Champions Cup?
No, I think more not seeing eye to eye, because I think it'd be ridiculous to fire a coach who had just won a championship for the first time in the club's history and did really well doing it. Like, figured out by the end of the season how to use all of his players to the best way. They won like 8 of their last 9 games of last season. They outscored their opponents by 25 goals during that time. Like, they were unstoppable at the end of the season. Now, let's not forget, Busquets retired, Jordi Alba retired. So how are you going to replace a guy that plays the defensive mid position better than anyone in the history of the game? You're not going to replace him. You have to find a different way of doing things. Then how are you going to replace a left back who is so good with the ball at getting you out of pressure in the defensive third, and then being so good in the final third at setting up goals and setting up assists? You're not going to replace that man for man either. So it takes time. None of these new guys have really gelled just yet. Dane St. Clair, the new goalkeeper, who was goalkeeper of the year last year, he's not played up to his level yet. Aishala in the midfield hasn't played up to his level yet. We've talked about Berterame. So it takes time. So I think it would be ridiculous if Inter Miami fired their coach based off of results after what? They've played 10, 11 games in all competitions so far this season.
Sasha, question, friend of show, former professional MLSer, Olympian, studio analyst for MLS on Apple TV. Obviously, Guillermo Hoyos coming in. He's going to be the new gaffer. He was Messi's coach at La Masia. Sasha, what could Inter Miami fans expect from Hoyos? Sporting director down to the pitch. You don't see. I don't think I've ever seen that at the world football stage before, Sasha. What could we expect from Hoyos coming up as the Inter Miami gaffer?
I don't know what to expect. I don't know what Hoyos is about. I don't know what his playing style is going to be, but I'm excited and I'm very intrigued for Saturday to just see his lineup. What's his starting lineup going to be on day one? What changes does he make personnel-wise or tactic-wise? I'm going to be watching that game very closely to see which players he trusts, which players from above that he's been watching he thinks are the guys that can help make the difference. And now you got to go up to altitude in Colorado, a team that's playing pretty well, that's very confident, that scored a ton of goals this season. I'm very intrigued. I'm going to be taking notes on Saturday afternoon, that's for sure.
You and everyone here at the Inter Miami Radio Network, Sasha. And, I would like to think it'd be more of a 4-4-2. That's at least the rumblings that I've been hearing, is that Inter Miami really wanted Messi and Berterame to play next to each other. I thought that Mascherano did change things up tactically a little bit in that final game. You mentioned Berterame getting that goal. Oh, boy. I mean, Sasha, it looked like the weight of the world got off of Berterame's shoulders when he scored that. But certainly we're going to be looking forward to Inter Miami coming up against the Rapids. Once again, Sasha Kleshin joining us here on the program. Now, Sasha, do you think, like, the big picture for Inter Miami was the CONCACAF Champions Cup? What do you think? What do you think the message to the team is going to be after the resignation of Javier Mascherano and now the new interim coach in Hoyos? What do you think either the board, Hoyos, what's going to be the message to the team as they progress through the MLS and get to the MLS playoffs and prepare for Leagues Cup later on coming up this fall?
I would say, if I was talking to the team, is listen, we lost out on one trophy already, but that's over and done with. There's nothing you can do about that now. Now you've got 3 trophies in front of you in the Supporters Shield, the MLS Cup, and the Leagues Cup. and they are an ambitious club who are going to go for all three. And so I think the goal is get better every single day, start to get the results a little better. It's not been a bad season. They sit in third in the Eastern Conference. They're well within the reach of the Supporter Shield. Like it's not like they've fallen way behind. It's not like they're Philadelphia of last season who won the Supporter Shield and now has 3 points through 7 games. So correcting little things, getting the newer players to gel better with the players around them. And I think they're involved in all 3 trophies towards the end of the season.
Could we see a hiring? Obviously, interim coach is Guillermo Hoyos, but could we see a hiring either pre-World Cup, post-World Cup? Where, Sasha, if there is a hiring mid-season, do you think it comes pre-World Cup or post-World Cup coming up?
It depends on who they're talking to and who their targets are. The first name that came to mind for me is Xavi Hernandez, the former Barcelona player who managed Barcelona, has some experience as a head coach, played with Messi. So that's one I think that seems pretty intriguing, but that's just off the top of my head. It depends on who's available, and I think the conversations that they have over the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. And then also how Hoyos does in the interim, right? If they lose a couple of games in a row, I think they pull the trigger quick on bringing a new coach in. If they're picking up some results and they're doing fine, they can afford to be patient. These things are always very fluid. I don't think the club has a plan right now because this thing kind of came out of left field.
Now, you say Xavi. No, Sasha, first off, I want to say this immediately. You and I are both ambassadors of the MLS. We love our league. Would Xavi want to come to the MLS, partner? Do you think that's something that he would entertain at this point, going from Barcelona to an MLS team?
I don't see why not. We've seen other coaches come from Europe to coach here as well. Plus, I think Xavi has said he doesn't want to coach any other team in Spain. So what are his other options right now? And he hasn't had a job for almost 2 seasons now since Hansi Flick has taken over at Barcelona. So I don't think Xavi's in the position to, if he wants to continue coaching, to say beggars can't be choosers. Yeah. I'm sure he's got plenty of money and he's chilling. He doesn't have to work, but I know how coaches are. They want to be on the field with the players. I think if Xavi's available, he would be interested.
Now, once again, Sasha Kleshin joining us, former MLSer, former United States men's national team and friend of show, studio analyst for MLS on Apple TV. It's been an interesting year in the MLS, Sasha. I mean, first off, how about Nashville and that win last night that they had in CONCACAF Champions Cup? First American team, first MLS team to win at Azteca. Did you watch last night's game?
Yeah, massive. But we shouldn't be surprised. Listen, they did this. They played so organized and so well against Inter Miami as well. A couple of draws against that potent attack and held Miami, I think, to 1 goal in that series, and they just held Club America to 0 over 2 legs. So this is a team that's very organized, very hard to play against, but also got a bunch of battlers that are good on the ball as well. Like, they play some good football, and they're deep. They did all of it last night without Sam Surridge, who's been their top striker. The last time they played without Sam Surridge, they looked lost as a team in attack. So a lot of credit to Nashville. LAFC as well, going down to Cruz Azul after winning at home 3-0, then getting the 1-1 last night. We'll be interested to see if the other 2 MLS teams can come back from 2-goal deficits tonight. Going to be tough. Don't have high hopes for either of them, but I think, I would love to see all the 4 MLS teams in the semifinals of the Champions Cup. Yeah, it's always been fun to watch. This battle with Liga MX and MLS is always great.
Who are you leaning right now in that competition to win the whole kit and caboodle?
I think LAFC is the deepest team in MLS, and I think they've got the most firepower also. I really like Nashville. They're very organized, but I think if they met each other in the final in a one-off game, I would give the edge to LAFC just based on the difference makers they have in attack in David Martinez, Son, and Denny Bouanga.
Now, Sasha, what's been the biggest surprise? Obviously, let's exclude the Coach Mascherano resignation because I think that was probably a pretty big surprise. But outside of that, what's been the biggest surprise in the league so far outside of the Inter Miami situation?
It's got to be the San Jose Earthquakes and how well they're playing and how much of a change they've had from last season, and really with a bunch of draft picks and local kids at the San Jose Earthquakes. Like they've got Timo Werner, but he's only played 90 minutes all season. Other than that, these are guys that were castaways. These were guys that were drafted in the middle rounds of the MLS draft, and Bruce Arena has trusted them. They've been very hard to play against. I think they've got 6 wins and 7. It's been very impressive what they're doing. Can they keep it up for a whole season? I still have some question marks about how they'll do towards the end of the year in the playoffs. But so far, you got to give a round of applause to Bruce Arena and what he's doing with that team.
Now, as an Inter Miami fan and an Inter Miami faithful, part of the Inter Miami radio network, I personally think Inter Miami is the best team in the MLS. But Sasha, for your best team at this point, is it LAFC or Nashville at this stage of the season?
So far, I'd go with LAFC. I think they have the most firepower. Nashville's been pretty consistent. Both teams very good. I'm going to agree with you. When the season started, I picked Miami to win Supporter Shield and MLS Cup again. And I'd probably still, if I had to make a wager, that would be it. And so LAFC's been the most impressive because they're doing it on both sides of the ball. I think attacking-wise, they're so dangerous, but defensively, they've been even better. They've given up 2 goals across 7 games in the league, and both of those goals were last game when they played a fully rotated lineup. So I'm actually very excited for this weekend to see LAFC play against San Jose, which is going to be a good test.
I'm looking forward to that one as well. Now, Sasha, I'm looking forward to a football reset as thankfully let me vent as you joined the program with the, my club's not necessarily informed and partner. I cannot remember. I actually know I haven't had you on. I got to bring it up. The United States men's national team, Sasha, I'm at my wit's end, brother. I mean, I know it was about 2 weeks ago, but 7-2 losing to teams like Belgium and Portugal. You and I were both in agreements that we think, one of the final 8 teams is realistic for the team and good expectations for the team. At this point, partner, I might be worried about Australia. I might be worried about the group with what's going on with Pochettino and the lads right now. Where do you stand after the 7-2 aggregate, losing to Belgium and losing to Portugal?
So I'm much more optimistic than you are. We need those games against some of the biggest teams. And listen, to be completely honest, we might be on a 4-game losing streak entering the World Cup. We're playing Senegal and Germany next in the lead up to the World Cup. Those are also 2 other top 10 teams in the world. Portugal and Belgium are top 10 teams as well. So should we expect to beat those teams? No. Should we be more competitive? Yes. We played good first halves against both of those teams. We played bad second halves against both of those teams. So we couldn't finish. Some of that comes with a bunch of subs that come into the game. My main concern is a player that I've never, ever been concerned about in my life, and that's Christian Pulisic.
Wow.
He was on fire in the last year and a half. Now in the last few months, he doesn't look dynamic. He doesn't look confident, but he's a player that I don't care what the story is. When he steps on the field for a home World Cup, I trust that he's going to deliver. So I'm much more optimistic than you are.
Listen, Sasha, I'm just saying, at this point right now, with what I've seen, I've been given us a free pass to win the group. I just think I might have to be a little more realistic. Turkey's a good team, and I know they care about their football in Australia. And with the way that we've looked recently, and specifically with Pochettino outside of that great run we had the last, I'm a little wary. That's it. I'm a little wary when it comes to our lads. Now,
listen, we should have never ever thought that it was going to be easy. First and foremost,
you are right there.
We beat Paraguay and we beat Australia in friendlies, but we beat them 2-1 in very tight games. And now every game at the World Cup is going to be very tight. So I still think we're going to win the group. I just don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to be nervy. It's going to be 1-0. It's going to be close. And so games are going to be tough like that. I think Turkey is going to end up being the second best team in that group.
Now, Sasha, obviously you being in LA, when are we getting you here in Miami? When are you coming in studio?
I don't know. I don't know when I'm coming to Miami. I want to get a Miami game on commentary because, I'm doing flip-flop studio and commentary. I've got a Salt Lake against San Diego this weekend, which is a very good game. But I'd love to be on a Miami game, come out there and play some golf and hang out in the studio with you.
Well, maybe I could talk to the brass and see, if I could put in a good word for you. Sasha, always appreciate the time. Appreciate you, talking me down on my teams. Now, quickly, it's not possible for United to bottle at this point in the season, I think, when it comes to Champions League. But, brother, 23 days off, and I lose to a rival in Leeds and a journeyman in Okafor. Give Okafor credit. AC Milan, Napoli, whatever. Brother, he scored 2 goals in the game. I mean, I was so in on Michael Carrick, and now all of a sudden, these last couple of results, I'm like, oh, wait a minute here. Do we have to pump the brakes a bit? I got to ask you a United question before. Is Carrick my answer? Is he the answer next year for when, I got to see it to believe it? My friends are telling me we're in no matter what. But I got to see it to believe it when we're in Champions League next year.
I would continue with Carrick. I think he's done a good job. Take away that last result. That was not good. Obviously, first time losing home to Leeds in so many years. Not good. But I would continue with Carrick. I think he understands the club, which first and foremost, I think has been very important as we look through the other coaches that have come and gone and come and gone and come and gone since Sir Alex. So I think Carrick is the guy to lead the line. I'm a Real Madrid fan, man, just like you.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to you was a Champions League night. Tonight, Camavinga ruined it, man, but Bayern is just so strong. Bayern PSG in that next round is going to be amazing football. Just tune in for back-to-back weeks of just fantastic game.
I agree. And then how about PSG, man? I mean, what a wagon. Last year in the run that they went on, and look at where they're at this point in the season. Sasha, thank you again, brother. Looking forward to getting you down here in Miami, playing some golf, having you in studio, and we always appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks, man.
Cheers, my man. Talk to you soon.
All right, that was Sasha Question from Apple TV, obviously former MLSer, former United States men's national team man. Damian, how about Sasha saying it was more about him not seeing eye to eye with the board than crashing out at CONCACAF Champions Cup? That was interesting.
Very interesting. And I mean, you mentioned it. There was a chance, there is a rumor floating around that there may be a chance that he did not want Berterame. And if you invested $15 million, which is one of the record signings in the MLS, and your head coach is not on board with it, that's a clear disconnect.
And he didn't, Berterame didn't play in 2 games after that crash out. So, like I said, we're all speculating. These are all rumors. You know how it is when a coach gets the sack, Granite resigns. You start hearing everything out of the woodwork. So, number one, appreciate Sasha coming on. Looking forward to him coming down to South Florida. And folks, we're coming right back on your Inter Miami Radio Network, Pink Smoke.
For 40 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath has stood up for clients in South Florida communities. If you've been injured, their experienced attorneys across South Florida are ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients. There's no cost for a case evaluation and no fee unless they win. Visit foryourrights.com. That's foryourrights.com. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath. Proud supporters of Inter Miami FC on ESPN South Florida. Main office in Palm Beach Gardens.
Picture this, a curve in the road, a change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer is always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
Hey, Steph Prince here, General Manager of ESPN West Palm, to tell you about a team that has meant a lot to me and this community for a long time. Bob and the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning have been helping me stay cool for years, whether at home or in the office. And living in South Florida with 3 kids, I don't know what I'd do without them. Family owned and operated, serving Royal Palm Beach and beyond since 1980. Let the knowledgeable and trained team at Bradley help you with your residential and commercial needs, installation, repair, seasonal maintenance, upgrades of all makes and styles and models of HVAC equipment, and so much more. Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning does things right the first time and makes the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps you cool. Give them a call at 561-793-7497. That's 561-793-7497 or bradleyair.com. Any need, big or small, trust the amazing team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
America, look around. Everywhere you go, prices are still high, rates have been whipsawing markets, and the debt and spending don't exactly scream stability. Experts say diversifying with intention is the #1 secret account that all American smart money uses to hedge against instability. Monetary Gold has been around since 2000, witnessing multiple economic setbacks. If you call now, Monetary Gold will cover up to a lifetime of your IRA fees on qualified accounts. Call Monetary Gold now at 877-NOW-GOLD. That's 877-NOW-GOLD. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees within the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 29 national championships, including the reigning champs in swimming and diving, lacrosse, and tennis. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest on the championship flagship campus of Kaiser University.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
For 40 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath has stood up for clients in South Florida communities. If you've been injured, their experienced attorneys across South Florida are ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients. There's no cost for a case evaluation and no fee unless they win. Visit foryourrights.com. That's foryourrights.com. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath. Proud supporters of Inter Miami FC on ESPN South Florida. Main office in Palm Beach Gardens.
Since 2006, EDS Air Conditioning has kept Palm Beach County comfortable through every summer, every storm, and every season in between. EDS Air Conditioning is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. From dial thermostats to today's smart home systems, EDS delivers reliable comfort you can count on. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, they've earned your trust. 20 years of keeping Palm Beach cool. Visit EDSisyes.com today.
When you see the pink smoke.
This is Pink Smoke.
Messi, one-timer to Segovia, goal!
Here's Mike Rizzo.
Final segment of Pink Smoke. Appreciate Sasha Question, friend of show, joining again, talking Coach Mascherano's resignation from Inter Miami, what we could expect from Guillermo Hoyos. Now, Damian, you promised me the H is silent. You promised me the H is silent on that? Okay.
That is the rule.
Sasha's my guy, and he was saying Hoyos. Hoyos.
Yes.
Okay, Hoyos. No one knows what to expect, by the way. We don't know what to expect. So we'll have to wait and see what Guillermo Hoyos football looks like with Inter Miami. Now, something that we know, what it looks like, folks, that's our local South Florida Audi dealer. Because I'll tell you what, that brand new Q3, that's made for the S-Life with the power and room to handle whatever pops up. Folks, say yes to escape, say yes to adventure, say yes to right now, because saying yes without hesitation, that is real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3 is made for the S-Life. Learn more at AudiUSA.com, the official premium and electric car partner of IMCF. And folks, your local South Florida Audi dealer sponsors you're around the MLS segment. Now, obviously, Inter Miami sitting in that third spot. Nashville in first place in the Eastern Conference. Damian, how about the Chicago Fire? The Chicago Fire sitting in second place right now on that Eastern Conference. So that is your top three in the East. You have Nashville, you have Chicago, and you have Inter Miami. Inter Miami, even though they've only been able to pick up 2 points in their last two matchups, they are still a top three team in the MLS. As far as the Western Conference in the MLS, Vancouver, San Jose, and LAFC. Vancouver and San Jose, the only two teams in the MLS to have 6 victories. Both teams are 6-0-1 on the year. And then you have LAFC at 5-1-1 on the year. So those are your top 3 teams, and that is around the MLS, presented by our great friends at Audi. Once again, say yes to the S-Life with Audi Q3. Go to your local South Florida Audi dealer to test drive the new Q3 or visit AudiUSA.com to learn more. Folks, it's time to get into the injury report presented by Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath. Now, Damian, Inter Miami pretty healthy. Do you think that Do you think Inter Miami being almost darn near at full strength and drawing at the first 2 games at New Stadium, do you think that maybe even had something to do with Coach Mascherano and his resignation?
Yeah, the only, I guess, quote unquote, big injury was Allende. But frankly, he has not showed up all season. So I don't know if that's a big absence in the starting 11. I think he probably was going to be benched regardless. But yeah, I mean, it looks like everything was indicating that he, and this is to Sacha's credit, he might have just lost that locker room.
Yeah.
That could be something that just,
and I give him credit. Damian, quickly, sorry to cut you off. I give him credit. I didn't know Luis Suarez was screaming at the bench, brother. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That flew over my head.
And
then listen, I call the games. That flew right over my head. I think I was and granted, folks, you can go to or rather my Instagram account at Mike Rizzo 22. I actually do have the goal posted of Suarez scoring. I was jumping up and down and celebrating. But apparently he said something to the sideline. I definitely missed that. But folks, Inter Miami at full strength. There's nobody on the injury report. So a clean bill of health for our Inter Miami Herons. And folks, your injury report is presented by Lytle Rider, Smith, Ivy, and Farnrath. Folks, for 40 years, Lytle Rider, Smith, Ivy, and Farnrath have stood up for clients and South Florida communities. If you've been injured, their experienced attorneys across South Florida are ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients. There's no cost for a case evaluation and no fee unless they win. Visit foryourrights.com. That's foryourrights.com. Lytle Rider, Smith, Ivy, and Farnrath, proud supporters of Inter Miami football and ESPN South Florida. Once again, Lytle Rider, Smith, Ivy, and Farnrath, proud supporters of Inter Miami CF on ESPN South Florida. Main offices in West Palm Beach. That's Lytle Rider, Smith, Ivy, and Farnrath. And folks, listen, I know that from West Palm to New Stadium, it could be a pain driving to the games. Well, let me tell you what's not a pain. That's my good friends at Tri-Rail. And folks, weekend rates are starting as low as $5. So look into Tri-Rail if you're going to the Inter Miami games. Our teammates here at ESPN West Palm on the Deporte side, 760 AM, our guys Julian and Elias, they take the Tri-Rail to the games. 10-minute walk. It's a 10-minute walk from the airport Tri-Rail station to New Stadium, to New Bank Stadium. So Tri-Rail has you covered. $5 weekend rates, 10-minute walk, 10-minute commute to the stadium. No better way to get to the games than with our good friends at Tri-Rail. You could skip the stress of game day driving, no parking headaches, no traffic jams, just a smooth, easy ride straight to the action. If you haven't tried Tri-Rail, it's the moment to do it because you could sit back and relax and enjoy the ride with friends, families, or fellow fans headed to the match. With 19 convenient stations across South Florida, folks, it's never been easier to get aboard on one of Tri-Rail's trains. And here's the best part. Tri-Rail drops you off, as I've mentioned, literally 10 minutes away, a 10-minute walk from the station. So you go to the Miami Airport station and you walk to Miami Freedom Park. It's 10 minutes. No long walks, no ride shares, off the train and into the stadium. After the final whistle, a special return train will be ready to take you home. And as I've mentioned, folks, honest to God, you can't beat it. Damian, $5. As low, weekend rates as low as $5. Round trip fares are just $5. Why drive when you can ride? Plan your trip now at try-rail.com. Folks, look into it. Try-rail.com. That's try-rail.com. Let's all ride Tri-Rail. Dame, that is the lick, though. Honest to God, all joking aside. If you live here in West Palm and you don't want to drive, listen, it's
even further now.
Right. It's, getting to Miami, unless you're going at night, I don't care. Getting to Miami and going those final 10 exits, it's 2 hours. I could get to Miami in an hour, but the issue is I'm waiting another hour to go 12 exits. How crazy is that?
And you also avoid the parking fees, which as of lately have skyrocket astronomically, but absolutely you avoid the traffic, you get there quicker, you avoid the parking fees, and also you have the safety of knowing you got that train on the way back as well, no matter what time it is.
Damian, I called my godfather, Uncle Jamie. Him and Uncle Johnny, they live out in Los Angeles. I grew up, did you ever fly alone when you were a kid?
No.
So I flew alone all the time when I was a kid. I had my Uncle Patrick in Boston. I had my aunties in Tampa.
You got the
and
flight
St. Pete.
attendant that flies
Yeah,
with you.
dude. How many times I would be the little kid in the airport with the woman walking them around. But anyway, I used to go and see my Uncle Johnny and Jamie. And obviously, when I got older, folks, I started driving in LA. You know, I've been to LA so many times, I literally have lost count. Damien, neither here nor there. That Miami traffic, it's worse. I promise
Really?
you. It is worse in LA.
Wow.
Dude, the final 10 exits to get to Miami on 95, there's no worse drive in the country.
And
I swear to
especially
God, I
now-
don't think there's a worse drive in the country.
Especially now that the new stadium is right next to Miami International Airport, which is one of the busier airports in the country. So,
Folks, try-rail.com. That is try-rail.com. Well, we're running out of time here on Pink Smoke. Once again, if you're just joining us, Coach Mascherano resigning. Coach Mascherano has resigned from the Inter Miami Herons. Guillermo Hoyos, the sporting director for Inter Miami, stepping down from the chair up top and stepping onto the pitch to coach the team for the time being. I asked Sasha a question from Apple TV, who could possibly be a hiring. Now, Damien is so funny. He said Javi, just like you. It probably is Javi. Probably is Javi's
makes
job.
a lot of sense. He's got to prove that he's up for that next job, too. And Inter Miami could be a good team to do that with.
Yeah. And, God, it has almost been 2 years.
Time flies.
I'm serious. I mean, my goodness. Folks, that's all we got. Thank you for everyone who listened, Janet in the YouTube chat, and everybody listening on the radio dial on 106.3. Download the ESPN South Florida app. Be tuned into the Inter Miami Radio Network wherever you are, whenever you are, or my favorite way to listen, ESPN West Palm FC on YouTube. ESPN West Palm FC on YouTube. We're doing daily content day in and day out. ESPN West Palm FC on YouTube. We do all of the live games on there as well. You can listen to us on ESPN West Palm FC on YouTube. I'll catch up with you guys on Saturday in Colorado on your Inter Miami Radio Network.
A curve in the road, a change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new